Ray, like you live in Vancouver, but you're always showing up, supporting the CMA, going to all these marketing events. Can you kind of tell me why you do that?
Yeah,
You're a big
yeah.
supporter of Calgary, it seems.
I went to Calgary but first I was like 2 years ago, or 2023. And then I just decided to join one of I think it was Canvas event. I think the first time, like two
Mhm.
year or
Oh yeah.
also like yeah, yeah, and then just thought it was really professional. And then I went to the AGM with the Sydney and Mark. I think you guys had the baton switch.
Yep. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then yeah, I just like the marketing community there. Like really professional, like lots of corporations. So like just want to be more involved.
Yeah.
But it's not too far. Like I think it's just an hour flight, so
Yeah, that's fair. And
That's
like
true.
I would say, I'm not to toot our own horn, but we're very supportive of each other,
yeah, yeah.
which is really nice because, there are some markets who might not be
Yeah,
as
yeah.
supportive as each other, or like, we try to raise each other up in the
Yeah,
marketing
yeah,
realm.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I think Calgary overall has a very yeah, like very friendly market. But I think I could say about like Alberta, like Albertans as a whole. I
True.
met somebody at the Greater Vancouver Trade and he was so friendly. And I was like, I was like, you're definitely not from Vancouver originally. He's like, yeah, he's from Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then he lived in Edmonton and moved to like Calgary for a bit and then he moved to BC. But he was so friendly. I'm like, you're definitely not from like yeah, originally. But yeah.
You said it, not us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is cool. It's great to have you on here, and I think your perspective on like the traditional SEO playbook, which may be starting to become archaic, is super interesting to me specifically, and I know Mark has a lot of thoughts on it too. So why don't we get into
Hmm.
this? Why don't
Less
we?
Sure,
thoughts and
please.
more just questions, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because like it's always changing, right? So why don't we start off with, the old SEO playbook, right? Which is basically publishing a crap load of content, waiting for Google to rank you after a few months, and then, hoping traffic kind of rolls in. So what are your thoughts around uh how it has always worked since like 2010 to today?
Yeah, so for us, typically, like I discussed with Mark previously, like for us, SEO for clients, typically we focus on end of the funnel, local, and product and service keywords. So like I think for us here, like it's actually very rare for us to when we say SEO, we focus on just content. Typically, clients will focus on actually uh like keywords that are really like related to their service. So for example, like
Yeah.
if you're like a self-storage company, like they all they care about is how well they rank for self-storage and the city they live in. Or they're a hotel and then they have a wedding venue service. All they care about how well they rank for like wedding venue Kelowna, let's just say. It's very rare that like they care about how well they rank for a blog post. So for here, like here locally, like that's really the focus for SEO. So I think some of the
Yeah.
changes haven't really trickled down too much, like from a lot of clients that we work with or other business we talk to. So and then right now AI overview, like based on stats I've seen, even like my own experience, it doesn't really show for local searches. So a lot of local, I think AI overview only shows up for like less than 1% or less than 5% for of AI search or for local searches. So that industry hasn't really been impacted. Um, yeah. So I think right now I'm pretty sure it has impact for other businesses that be just producing a lot of content or some publishers. But for a lot of local businesses that all they care about is just local searches, I don't think they've been impacted at all. Yeah.
Was that a plan for you, or in terms of how you approached SEO, or is it sort of just how it evolved?
Yeah, just how it evolved. Like I think businesses here, like a lot like I guess a lot of them have real estate and there's a lot of loans. Like they really care about performance. Like they have a lot of cost to pay. So when they do SEO, they really just care about like conversion and clientele. So for us, that's kind of like been the focus, like just end of the funnel kind of searches.
Right. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more, you're looking at attribution a lot more, right? So
Correct.
can you kind of talk about, your process and your thinking in terms of how you measure that end of the funnel piece?
Yeah, yeah. So search rankings will be a top tier kind of metric that we measure. So we would obviously we have a spreadsheet and then we would keep track of how well a website ranks for like let's just say up to 10 search keywords. And then we would track that over time. And generally as businesses see an improvement in their search ranking, there'll be a positive correlation with overall organic traffic and general leads. So it's a lot easier to prove. I know some of the content, SEO content that people just publishes a lot is actually a lot to prove the value of this content, even tied with financial dollars. But for some of but if you actually just check your search rankings plus organic traffic plus leads, like it's actually a lot easier. It's more of a linear process. So that's kind of how we would measure. And it's a lot easier to prove value to clients. Like they see their search rankings go up and their number of leads go up, they want to continue investing in SEO because they're seeing the tangible results from the SEO work.
Hmm. Like, do you have like a formula or anything like that to measure this?
Yeah, so there are different tools that's available. So MCMrush is a very popular one. Um, Google Search Console can also be an effective tool, but it's not too. It kind of fluctuates quite a bit. There's also a tool through Google Ads. There's a preview tool.
Yeah.
So sometimes we can actually a bit of a manual work, but we will actually basically go like you acting as a empty browser and a clean browser, sorry, and then you can actually enter your search keywords, and then you can select your location. Let's just say your business in Bridgeland. You just want to see how well you rank within Bridgeland.
Right.
So you can enter the postal area of let's just say Bridgeland, and then you enter your the search keyword that you want to rank for. Let's just say ramen near me, and then you can see if you're ranking on local map back. So
Gotcha.
for something like this, like it's a bit of a manual process, but is actually a lot more granular and a lot more accurate for the client. And is more pertinent just because a local business, they cannot always rank within like the entire city. Maybe they can only rank well within a neighborhood. So by just setting the geo target into a specific area and then looking at the search rankings there or the data there is actually a lot more useful and actionable for the client.
Okay, yeah. And like, when we talk about, and sorry, I think Mark might have disappeared here, but when you talk about um, measuring what matters, right? How important is like clicks when it comes to that, especially when you're talking about that bottom of the funnel type of stuff? Like,
Mhm.
how do you measure the impact of SEO if it's just search rankings? How do you measure that attribution piece where we're trying to start to get clicks and stuff like that? Do you have any
Yeah,
opinions on that?
yeah. So I think so the reason why we rank for search rankings the most like as a the main focus is that's the why we have the most control, not complete control, but most control. But clicks really can fluctuate within the market demand. So
Hmm.
using real estate example, even when you're at the peak of Canadian real estate, when you're ranking number one, you could get, 100,000 visitors a month, let's just say. Now that the same top ranking search website or it's the same site that ranks number one on Google with the market right now, maybe they're getting half. So that really just has a lot to do with the market demand. So a lot of times we cannot really control, but again, but we can still using that we can still prove the value of SEO if we see that they get more leads when there's a lot more organic traffic than when there is less organic traffic. Again, like that still proves the value of SEO. That basically suggests that more organic traffic is positively impactful to a business. So, but typically like search ranking is something that we would measure like that's what we will focus on just because of like how we that's something that we typically work on. A lot of
Hmm.
time traffic is a little bit outside the control again, like just a lot to do with market demand and some other factors. But typically speaking, when assuming the economy is healthy, when you as you go up in your search rankings, like the more organic traffic, more quality traffic that your organic traffic that you're gonna get.
And how would you like, when we talk about quality traffic, like what are some of these like tactics that you're using to understand that visibility, whether it's through like GA4 or I don't know, search impressions and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
How do you know that this is qualified traffic?
So GA4 will be our top tool. So you can basically segment your data to only look at organic traffic, and then you can look at the overall engagement rate of organic traffic, and then the overall conversion rate of this traffic source. So you could also obviously compare with other traffic sources, like just organic compared to social, organic compared to YouTube or display, and then it gives you a more of a comparative analysis between your organic traffic and other traffic sources. So again, like quality is I would say it's a relative term.
Hmm.
So of course, like we will want to benchmark with other sources to see, how well organic performs. And then like once you have, a couple of years of data, that you can see overall trend as well. Again, like another kind of approach to measure the quality of your traffic. So right now, if the organic traffic conversion rate, let's just say it's 3%, but it was 10 now, like the last couple of 90 days, but it was 10%, let's just say a year and a half ago. So that really talks about the quality of traffic that of organic traffic today. So that's another way to see, whether or not a website is getting good quality traffic like right now. So for us, yeah, so our go-to tool typically is GA4. And there's just a number of ways that we can segment the data and then do comparative analysis to measure quality. So, but a lot of time really to just do with engagement rate and overall conversion rate, and if it's actually helping business with their bottom line. Some businesses they will actually, if they cannot measure everything, what they would do is actually do like using correlation, so they can pull organic traffic data through GA4, and then they pull their sales data, and then see if there's a positive correlation between organic traffic and overall just sales traffic or even foot traffic. So that's another way to measure quality of organic traffic.
Sorry, I just dropped off there, but I hope you haven't asked this question, but related to search traffic and conversion rates and things. I think a big thing with GA4 is it'll just tell you any channel, really, just tell you what's happening on that platform.
Hmm.
So um, with things like zero click searches, AI, like there's almost a fragmentation of search now. It's behavior that's almost embedded into every platform.
Hmm.
So do you think there's any impact that's happening with search, like reporting on GA4, that maybe that 10 to 3% drop is resulting from fewer people doing the searches on Google, or is it, you know what I mean? Is how much is of that other kind of search now is being chewing up the Google ranking search?
Yeah, I think depending on the business, I think if they're like, I think they can just go back into the content that were just blogs that were generating a lot of traffic, and then they can compare like the last 90 days with like just a year ago, and then see
Right.
if there is if there's a search a drug in search ranking for these blog posts, and then they can also look going to Google Search Console, and then also look at if there's a drop in the positioning of these blog posts, and if there's a drop in traffic for impression for these content that was generating a lot of traffic for businesses. I know Google Search Console right now, they are slowly adding AI overview data into Google Search Console. Actually, it's already been integrated, but you cannot segment to look at only AI overviews. Right now, it's still grouped. So right now, you cannot isolate and only look at AI overviews.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So right now, let's just say you are, you have an article, it gets pulled into AI overviews, and you get a click. So Google Search Console is reporting that click, but it's not telling us that that click came from an AI overviews uh,
Oh,
summary. So,
Hmm.
but I think slowly, if people complain hard enough, I think Google will probably make that improvement, and then we can start slowly tracking AI overviews data.
Yeah.
But I think content that don't necessarily need clicks, like I think it also, excuse me, talks about the quality of the traffic. I think like right now we're doing some engagement with some law firms. So for them, like I think they're still not seeing a lot of dip just because I think the nature of the content is very high value, it's very serious. Like people, like you cannot really get what you want within just a couple paragraphs. Chances are people still need to click on, whether it's about a state law or a corporation or SN will, and et cetera, et cetera. A lot of times when people have a long tail search phrase, the result that they get is generally very, very in depth, and they still need to click on the even AI overviews appear, like they would still need to click on articles within AI overviews to get more information. Like the two sentence or couple of or paragraphs within AI overview summary will not suffice.
Yeah.
So I think people are not clicking on those AI overview summaries. Like I think it also talks about the value and then the importance of these articles. Maybe it's just not that important to begin with, and they were never really good, like quality traffic generator to begin with. So I think companies should kind of measure, like maybe they see a dip, but maybe it's not really that a dip in organic traffic due to less traffic to these blog posts, but maybe there is not that impactful for them from a bottom line perspective.
Yeah, when it comes to like that, what is it? GEO? Like that's
Yeah.
like the new hot thing right now.
Hmm.
Like it's
Wait,
still
what is GEO?
GEO is like Gemini engine optimization or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like it's always, now it's not even the top ranked searches in Google. It shows the AI overview first, right?
Yeah.
So how should we be thinking about search if that's the thing that's showing up at the top of the Google search rankings now?
Yeah, so I think that going forward, then then I think focusing on long tail keywords is probably key. Like maybe they'll still see a dip in organic traffic just because of AI overviews, but I think if you write in-depth articles and it's more focused, like chances are people will still have to click on the articles.
Hmm.
So I think. Yeah, I think right now some of the data available right now about this industry, I think is too aggregated. Like I think right now, sometimes if I search for how to restart my Pixel phone and I don't click through, I think a search like that is not really the same as something when looking to do something like a more in-depth information research about like just a CRA and an accounting.
Hmm.
Somebody looking for some CRA again accounting for the business, chances are they will still click through an article to learn more.
Right.
But somebody just looking for how to like how to restart my iPhone, like
I
they
see.
just go through
Yeah.
the step. Yeah, so I think right now it's a bit too aggregated to for us to know what is actually impactful to businesses and what's not. I think a lot of businesses, like I said before, like the ones that are having in-depth articles, like they're not really seeing any true impact to the overall bottom line just because the nature of the type of content that they've published. Like it's more maybe it's high quality, low volume, but they're actually conversion. They actually help them
Hmm.
get leads. Like they don't really,
Right.
yeah. So. I think that's something that businesses, if content and stuff like that is still important to them, then that's probably the shift that they need to make instead of just publishing a bunch of articles that just, yeah, like it's people can just quickly scroll through and don't need to click through. Then I think companies just focus on more important articles, or sorry, more high value and in-depth articles. And then, but for us, I think any local business, I think generally they don't have that much to worry about because AI overviews appear like very small percentage of the time. You guys can like do it like if you go like RMT near me, Physio near me, chances are there's no AI overviews. So
Hmm.
for those businesses, like it's not really impactful for them. Just traditional SEO, making sure they rank well in your local Mac pack, ranking well in organic, just traditional organic search results. Those are still quite important to them. Obviously, if Geo, if people using ChatGPT more and more, then obviously, SEO will evolve and they need to adapt. I know some SEO vendors, or sorry, some backlink providers, they're offering more digital PR and listicle services. I don't know if you heard that
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. Yeah, so they're doing that as well, just making sure that some of the brands get mentioned in Reddit, getting listed in listicles, and some businesses are revisiting local citations. So obviously things will evolve, and other parts or other types of SEO tactics will slowly emerge. But I think right now, like most local businesses I've talked to with brick and mortar, like whether it's in hospitality, the automotive, and things like that, like making sure that they rank on local MacBack and traditional search results is still the top priority for them. AI overviews, even generative AI to like GEO stuff, like it hasn't really impacted them that much because people hasn't gone to those platforms to do research. Sorry, to do what with this search on Google.
It's kind of interesting though, like having GEO, because SEO really before was predominantly meant as a Google search thing, and to a small degree, say Bing. But now you've got all these different places where people are searching, and so then is the content playbook that you're talking about, long form content building towards long keywords or long tail keywords, is that, let's say I build an article, um, and I read an article that's very detailed, descriptive, how it gives a lot of answers. Is that same article then going to be found by the other platforms, or do they need to change the content to suit the other platforms now?
Mhm. Great question. I don't really have the answer for that right now. I think it's still too
Yeah,
new. But
yeah,
I would assume so. Like right now, based on some of the stuff with like Spoctoro, like SEMrush, like a lot of the same ranking factors for Google are still applicable for other AI tools. Um, but I think there's a more of a need for like having using some structured data, schema markup on websites,
Hmm.
just helping the crawlability and understandability of the content, just to help AI tools to kind of read and understand what the content is about, so they can feed it into their search results. I know more businesses are using Bing Webmaster Tool just because ChatGPT uses Bing search engine for a lot of the searches. So more businesses are installing Bing Webmaster Tool on their sites, which is something that
Oh,
never really happened before. Like nobody used Bing. Like
yeah.
we used to install stuff for businesses like I was the last 90 days, but we never touched it like we know it exists, like Google's cousin, but we just never used
yeah.
it. But now we kind of have to, just to make sure that the content gets indexed by Bing. Um, yeah, but I think right now, like the best bet right now is still just like the long tail article that you were saying, right? Like, all we can do right now is writing content that people are seeking, and then they're in depth, and yeah, but and hopefully AI tools will crawl and feed it into its search results. I think the thing with AI over tool right now, like based on my experience, is just that the results are very inconsistent. And
Yeah, that's huge.
yeah, so like there's actually, like, even I follow this guy on SEO guy from in Australia, and then he was doing the same SEO search in four different time periods within the same day, and then the search results are actually all completely different within AI
Hmm.
overviews. So I think right now, I think the difficulty is like the search ranking itself. The difficulty is that there's no consistency.
Hmm.
So right now, I think SEO, if we go through a certain approach for 6 to 12 months, we can see a granular, but I think a pretty positive outcome, like results and progression, and it'd be generally pretty consistent. I think with AI overview right now, like it's just so different, and I
Yeah,
don't know how businesses can really rank for it. And some of the Yeah, so it also depends how much businesses have to like invest into some of the stuff. So
sure.
using the digital PR services I was mentioning before, like a vendor right now, they're charging 36, like almost 4 grand Canadian for 5 brand mentions online. So
40
like
grand?
4 grand just for five
Oh,
mentions.
four.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for 4 brand mentions on Reddit and a couple listicles, and that's it. But there's only so many. But there's only so many businesses are willing to spend 4 grand just on five brand mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to
Like
mention,
there,
yeah, not to
uh,
mention there's like rules around mentioning your brand on Reddit and stuff like that, and you can get kicked off, and it's happened to me.
yeah,
But yeah, um, yeah, it's interesting. Like there are a lot of clients still, right? Like I've had clients, colleagues who kind of still believe in the old SEO approach, right? So
yeah.
how do you kind of explain all these changes to these clients who are still, looking to do the same thing where you're just posting as much content as possible in as many places as possible so they can rank?
Like I want for us, like again, like the focus primarily just on end of the funnel search terms. So for us, like the playbook just be focused on just making sure that they rank well for business search query, like local business search queries. So somebody publishing a lot of content, I think this is something that we really engaged in to be to begin with. But we have slowly started introducing some of the services that you're like, to clients of the one with the brand mentions, just to let them know that this is happening. Like this could, replace traditional SEO, but I don't think it will, not in the short term. But it's something that they need to kind of buckle up and make sure that, maybe they have to get on Reddit and get brand mentions. Maybe they had to get on listicles, and this is roughly how much it would cost in the future. But I think most businesses, they are aware of like ChatGPT and they use Gemini and this and that. I think they do understand that AI technologies are here and it will probably, have some impact to their business.
Yeah.
But for us, it's just more FYI. Like, I don't know how much some of these AI tools would really impact like local businesses. And I think in reality, like, there's only so much time like we have in a day. Like marketing teams can be only so big. So if
Yeah.
Google remains the big chunk of the pie for a lot of those businesses as for local businesses, I think that's still where they would focus on their budget. If a ChatGPT takes 5% of the market, but Google is still the 90%, in terms of resources and like everything, like chances are businesses will still focus on on Google, and then whatever they get from ChatGPT will just be a bonus. But
Yeah.
but chances, yeah, and then the things that like whatever they do for on Google probably will have some positive impact on ChatGPT. So
It's kind
yeah,
of like there's so many things that I find fascinating about this. But like thinking back to the search, as I said before, it used to be the channel, but now it's more of a behavior, and it seems to be on everything. And what I'm picking up from what you're saying is it's almost like don't forget all the things that got us to this point. Like that's still happening, and I don't know that really anybody has this
Mhm.
all figured out yet.
yeah.
So there's a component there around experimentation and just being in it to see how it's evolving and adapting, and almost studying the channels, not just using the channels, but studying them to see how other brands are populating, and then trying to reverse engineer that. Hey,
Yeah. So that's typically how SEO has evolved, like Moz. So a lot of times they would just do, they do like, yeah, like I guess they just build like a bunch of sites and then they would do one SEO tactic for this one site and nothing for the other, and then see how much this site improves in search ranking. So they're just experimenting one variable at a time, so that there's like so yeah, so it's, like SEO has always been on experimentation, even like things like page speed, like comparing, like they just say two sites very similar, one site has a fast page speed, one site doesn't, and then they just see which site ranks higher on the Google search results. So if they just say the one that has a higher page speed ranks better, then they'd be like, okay, Google, like page speed is a search ranking factor.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same with AI overview. So typically I think later on they'll probably be like, okay, companies that get, populated on ChatGPT or Gemini, what are the common variables amongst them? And then they just try
yeah,
to businesses will just try to replicate it. That's typically how SEO typically, because Google doesn't tell us.
yeah, it's always been a
Like,
black box.
yeah, it's always like write authentic content, which is very hard to like really define. But yeah, so a lot of these SEO guys, like they'll just do a lot of research. and then they just compare various variables. Like, okay, let's just say a website without the H1 heading, and then with the H1 heading, and then another site doesn't have an H1 heading. Let's just see which one ranks higher. So again, like that's just more of a isolated kind of environment where they can compare one variable at a
Yeah.
time, and then see which one determines, and then they would just kind of outline kind of the weight of each variable, because there could be 200 variables, and then
Right.
each variable, some variable has more weight, others don't. So we just focus on the ones that have the heaviest weight. And I think even with AI overview, is probably gonna be the same. Like there's gonna be a couple of things that are most important, and then businesses will try to make sure that those components um, are 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 executed on the website, so that
Yeah.
they get crawled, and their content gets fed into uh, like a lot of the AI tools. But I think oh,
Reminds
sorry.
no,
Oh,
well,
sorry,
I
go.
was just gonna say it kind of reminds me of like going way back to when I first started working in advertising. I was in media sales, and our argument at that time was, why would you let take a chance of Google knowing who you are? Just
Hmm.
tell people who you are and and then they can search and put your name into the search. And it kind of it feels like that kind of a moment again. I mean, I was saying that back then when like digital was new, right?
Hmm.
But it kind of feels like a bit of that moment too, where it really is more holistic than just putting all your eggs into the one basket, like of SEO or paid retargeting or paid search or anything like that. Like there's a comprehensive plan. I think that's probably really good, especially if people know who you are as a starting point.
Hmm.
And then to your point, all the locals, like that's low hanging fruit. Don't leave that on the table. Um, and then, all the stuff in the middle, there's a lot of question marks by the sounds of it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I think we'll just see how people will use ChatGPT or AI tool to conduct, I guess, for transactions. I think that's how. When we say SEO, typically we just talk about like businesses, like monetary, how making sure ranking well improves a business, bottom line, whether it's through actual sales or through like inquiries. Like a lot of the searches right now, with it just a Gemini or ChatGPT, like I don't know what percentage of that is actually related to sales, or are they just people creating memes and
Yeah.
making themselves looking like cartoon characters? So I think right now, later with that data, then business can see if it's even worthwhile to invest in some of the AI tools. And then if people actually do click through a lot of the results on, ChatGPT, let's just say, like what percentage of that actually become actually customers or become leads,
Right.
and then they can compare, they have GA4, then they compare the percentage or conversion rate between ChatGPT and like Google search, like organic traffic conversion rate, and then see if it's even like worthwhile for people to invest in some of the AI geo, as we were
Mm.
discussing previously.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the big, most important, most powerful tools that Google has is actually Google Maps. So I think a lot of time when we do search, it's not just a list. So right now, ChatGPT is pretty much just a list. But if you've been to Vancouver recently, there's a lot of construction. I think a lot of and traffic. So for us, like when we make a decision to go somewhere, like traffic is taken under consideration, and that is a piece of information I can get through Google search and then Google Maps. So right now, if I search on ChatGPT, if it doesn't give it, like I still gotta go to Google Maps to make sure that,
Right.
if it's close by, if there's like if it's all red on Google Maps, and I
Yeah.
probably won't go. So this whole Google ecosystem with the search plus map, like satellite, is something that I think it just creates a lot of convenience for people. And I don't know if it's easy for people to get out of it, at least for local businesses. So like if you're like in you're looking for self-storage, let's just say, if you're searching on Google, you can see how far the facility is from you. But through ChatGPT, you might not. I don't think you can, just because I don't think it has GPS coordinates of
Yeah.
where you are. So I think that's definitely a disadvantage to some of these AI tools. But again, like it's not built to be like a search engine. It's a generative AI tool. So
Right.
I think having this whole the ecosystem that Google has produced, I think it's like somewhat of a hook for people to stay on the platform because it's quite convenient. Like right now, if you're going out for brunch, you probably Google Map it. Would that be fair to say? Google it, Google
Yeah,
Yeah,
Map
I would.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is just the whole ecosystem Google has produced. Like unless ChatGPT can like fire off their own satellite into the space, and then we can do a lot of the traffic stuff through ChatGPT. I think right now, like I think Google is still a very convenient tool for a lot of the local searches because it gives us more than just a list. It gives us other information that will help us with the decision making. And I think even with like Google reviews and like photos and things like that, they're all quite important information that a person would take under consideration when making the decision. Like I've done some searches through ChatGPT and other tools before. They actually recommended some businesses that were like closed down
Hmm.
or like they're not even within like Vancouver, like it's not big city, but it's also it's big enough where one place can be 30 minutes from like South Van and like downtown. So they recommended that place that was actually like 35 minutes away from me. So for me, that kind of search experience is not that great. But
Right.
if we were to search for something like Google Maps, it always start with you or within your proximity. So like that kind of search experience is a
Yeah.
lot more tailored to our searches. So
I just
yeah.
tried where, lunch near me, and then yeah, it asked me for my location first because I didn't have that turned on. But then it's just giving me a list. So to your point, like yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
does pull stuff, but it's not. There's no links to any of the places. I can't really see any of the what the restaurants look like. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just
Like
yeah, brief overview, a little bit of a description of the time, but that's it.
yeah, so like a search like I guess for my own thinking, I was just like some if a search result like that, like what's the difference between ChatGPT and like Yellow Pages? Because Yellow Pages is pretty
Yeah,
much just a list as well, or
Yeah,
Yelp.
right.
Yeah, so but for us, I think we want more information for a restaurant before we go
yeah,
out, like make sure it's okay and
yeah,
like the ratings and if even the ratings are good, but if the last five, six reviews are bad, I think
yeah.
that would still make, affect a person's decision. Yeah, so
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
think
Cool.
yeah, and
Ray, this has been
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. Thanks for sitting in with us on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything exciting you want to celebrate over at RW Digital right now before we let you go?
Well, this year's is our sixth year.
Nice.
So that's
Hey,
kind of exciting.
congrats.
Yeah, so but for us, like I think we're just continuing to grow and really excited to be part of CMA and the overall Calgary marketing community. Is be very welcoming and yeah, appreciate you guys having me here.
Oh, thanks for joining
Well,
us.
you don't
To have you
allow a
here.
lot of people in Vancouver to join, but well, thank you so much, Ray. This is great. Lots of notes that I could take from this, and I'm excited to release this episode momentarily here. So, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Derek. Thanks,
Thanks, Ray.
Mark.